Before we begin, viewer discretion is strongly advised. The following is for educational and entertainment purposes only. This is the verbatim federal courtroom testimony of the Sean Diddy Combs trial, as reported by Inner City Press. No cameras were allowed. No microphones captured the moment. But word spread like wildfire from inside the courtroom. Jennifer Lawrence had just taken the stand, and what she said confirmed one of the most disturbing and whispered rumors about Sean Diddy Combs. For years, the entertainment industry buzzed with speculation. Hollywood insiders would exchange glances when the subject came up, always careful never to say too much. But now, with the world watching and the courtroom packed, Jennifer Lawrence looked directly at the jury and said the words everyone had been too afraid to speak. What she described wasn't just a rumor. It was real, and her account may have changed everything. In today's video, we'll break down exactly what Jennifer Lawrence said in court, how she ended up involved, and why her explosive testimony may finally bring Diddy's empire crumbling down. It started, as many Hollywood horror stories do, at what was supposed to be just another glamorous event. Jennifer Lawrence was no stranger to elite circles. By the time she was 25, she had already won an Oscar, become the face of major global franchises, and was a regular on every red carpet that mattered. It was at one of these events, described in passing at the time as a private celebration for talent and influencers, that she first crossed paths with Sean Diddy Combs. At the time, she thought nothing of it. The man was a mogul, a producer, someone she'd seen on TV and in magazines since her teenage years. His parties were said to be legendary. What could go wrong? But what Jennifer didn't realize, at least not right away, was that Diddy's parties weren't just about champagne toasts and A-list selfies. They were rituals in disguise, carefully curated nights where power dynamics were on full display and privacy was paramount. According to those close to her, Jennifer had originally been invited through a well-known mutual friend, another actor whose name has not yet been revealed in court documents. The invitation was formal but oddly controlling. She was told she would be picked up by a designated driver. She couldn't bring her own guests. Phones were not allowed. And upon arrival at the Beverly Hills estate, she was handed a thick packet, an NDA so detailed and aggressive, it immediately raised red flags. Jennifer had been to exclusive parties before, but this one felt different. As she entered the estate, everything appeared normal on the surface. High-end fashion, luxurious catering, music that pulsed from hidden speakers. But there was a strangeness lurking just underneath. Some rooms were roped off, certain guests were being escorted in and out of specific wings of the house, often by unfamiliar security personnel. And Diddy? He wasn't mingling. He was watching, observing, occasionally whispering to staff, and glancing at certain guests with what Jennifer later described as a calculating expression. Later testimony from other witnesses, names still redacted, would confirm that many of these parties followed a similar pattern. There was the public-facing celebration, and then the after events. The ones that took place deep within the mansion, behind locked doors, with a guest list that couldn't be found anywhere on paper. That night, Jennifer didn't know about those events, at least not yet. In the weeks that followed, she began hearing strange comments from people she trusted. Jokes made in hushed tones about what Diddy really does at those parties. One person warned her, "Don't go back, Jen. You saw enough. Be thankful." She didn't press the issue. But the incident stayed with her. Years later, when federal investigators came knocking during their widening probe into Diddy's affairs, when court orders began pulling in celebrities who had once stayed silent, Jennifer's name came up. She hadn't spoken publicly, but law enforcement had records, texts, security logs, witness lists, and at least one source close to the investigation claimed that Jennifer had once told a friend about what she saw, and that friend had finally come forward. The call came unexpectedly. Her team tried to fight the subpoena, but it was airtight. She had to testify. And the moment she agreed to take the stand, everything changed. Not just for her, but for Diddy. Jennifer Lawrence began her sworn testimony calmly, but there was an undeniable tension behind her eyes. In front of a packed courtroom, she described what began as a night of star-studded glitz, and ended with her watching something that, in her words, shattered a part of how I saw this industry forever. She recalled the moment she was separated from the main party. Around midnight, Diddy's assistant approached her, leaned in, and whispered, "Mr. Combs wants to personally thank you for coming." She was led upstairs, through a hallway lined with mirrors, past two security guards who didn't say a word. The atmosphere changed the moment she crossed the threshold of the second floor. The music was quieter. The lights dimmed, and the laughter and buzz of the downstairs crowd were completely gone. She was guided into a room with velvet walls, no windows, and an unusually low ceiling. Cameras were hidden in the corners. She noticed them instantly, although they weren't blinking. There were screens, Jennifer testified. Big ones, like a security system. But instead of normal surveillance footage, there were recordings of other parties. Old ones. Different people. I didn't recognize all of them, but some were actors. Famous ones. And they didn't know they were being filmed. Her voice trembled as she paused, taking a sip of water. I thought it was some kind of joke. I looked around to see if anyone else was laughing. But no one was. The jurors leaned in. Jennifer then revealed that Diddy entered the room shortly after, alongside another man whose face had been blurred in the video footage. He seemed amused. Offering her a drink, she politely refused. I didn't want anything. I suddenly felt like I needed to leave, and fast. But before she could excuse herself, a video began playing on the main screen. It showed what looked like a different house, another party, but much darker in tone. The figures on screen were partially clothed. Some were wearing masks. Others looked unaware they were being filmed. The room went dead silent as Jennifer continued. I asked what this was. Diddy said, "This is how we vet people. Everyone's got something they hide. It's about control." Those words, she claimed, stuck with her more than anything else. She described seeing people in the videos who were clearly intoxicated, some almost unconscious. She identified at least 2 celebrities, whom she did not name in court for legal reasons, but said their faces were unmistakable. One of them was crying, she said. It didn't look like a party. It looked like someone was being forced to do something they didn't want to. At that point, Jennifer said she stood up and demanded to leave. A bodyguard blocked the door briefly, until Diddy waved his hand. He told him, "She's not ready yet. Let her go." When she returned to the lower floor, the party looked the same. Laughter, clinking glasses, pop music, as if nothing had happened upstairs. I never went back, she told the court, and I never spoke about it again. Until now. There had long been whispers in Hollywood about The Room. A rumor about a hidden chamber in Diddy's Los Angeles mansion where only certain guests were allowed. A place allegedly wired with hidden cameras and used to blackmail, test, or trap celebrities into silence. It was dismissed for years as urban legend, another outlandish tale in an industry full of them. But when Jennifer Lawrence testified, she didn't just validate the rumor. She made it impossible to ignore. Under oath, she described the room in excruciating detail. Not just the decor or the screens, but the feeling. It felt engineered, she said, like someone had designed it not for entertainment, but for leverage. Like every inch of it had a purpose. Prosecutors asked her directly if she believed the videos she saw were being used to blackmail individuals. She didn't hesitate. Yes, she said, I think that's exactly what it was for. The courtroom murmured. Jennifer was then shown several screenshots, recovered during a federal raid of one of Diddy's secondary properties. She confirmed seeing the same setting. The velvet walls, the security cameras, even the strange padded bench beneath the monitors. But more disturbingly, she identified one of the individuals in a screenshot as the man who had walked in with Diddy that night. He wasn't a guest, she said. He was filming. He was in control. That revelation sent shockwaves across the courtroom. Media outlets scrambled to cross-reference names. Attorneys whispered to each other. And Jennifer, now visibly emotional, pressed her hands together to stop them from shaking. One of the federal agents later confirmed that this room had appeared in several raids, some in LA, others in New York. The decor changed slightly, but the setup was always the same. Velvet walls, concealed cameras, a bench, and a massive screen. For years, the rumor had been brushed aside. People said things like, Hollywood has always been weird, or it's probably just a recording studio. But Jennifer's testimony shattered that illusion. She was the first A-list celebrity to describe the room under oath. And her description matched not just the footage recovered, but testimonies from lower-level staff, former assistants, and security personnel who had also come forward, anonymously or otherwise. Then came the bombshell. Jennifer was asked about a specific rumor, one that had circulated online for over a decade, that Diddy had amassed a vault of incriminating videos over the years, allegedly used to control artists, actors, and executives. The so-called Black File. She nodded. "I saw the hard drives," she said. "They weren't labeled, but there were at least a dozen of them, locked in a drawer near the viewing monitors. When I walked too close, someone shut the cabinet." The courtroom was stunned. With that one admission, Jennifer Lawrence had breathed new life into a conspiracy that had hovered over Diddy for years. Only now, it wasn't a conspiracy anymore. It was on record. Jennifer Lawrence hesitated when asked about what happened after she tried to leave the mansion that night. Her voice softened. "I didn't mean to go into the basement," she said. "I thought it was the way out." She had veered off course while trying to find the exit. With no one guiding her and feeling shaken by what she saw upstairs, Jennifer pushed through a door she believed would lead her to the driveway. Instead, she descended a narrow stairwell dimly lit by flickering recessed lights. The air grew colder. She said it felt like she was descending into a different world. The hallway at the bottom was lined with strange artwork, oversized, abstract paintings, some of which made her uncomfortable. One of them showed a figure with no eyes, just a mouth, she said. It was screaming. Then she heard it, a faint, rhythmic sound. At first, she thought it was music, but as she crept closer to a heavy black door at the end of the corridor, she realized it wasn't. It was a voice, multiple voices, chanting something she couldn't quite make out. The door was slightly ajar. "I looked through the crack," Jennifer testified, "and I saw something I can't fully explain. There were people in robes, masks, and in the center, someone on their knees, surrounded by cameras. Not film cameras, security cameras, mounted in every corner. It was being recorded." She gasped. The courtroom sat motionless. Jennifer said she didn't recognize everyone in the room, but she knew one man. His voice, even through the mask, was unmistakable. It was Diddy. He was standing over the person, directing everyone, like it was a scene, like it was a production. She backed away quietly and took the stairs 2 at a time. When she reached the main floor again, the party was still going. But the contrast, what she had just seen, and what was still playing out upstairs, made her feel like she was stuck between 2 completely different worlds. Her escape wasn't easy. She claimed her phone was missing from her purse when she went to call a car. A staff member offered her another drink, which she refused. Finally, she told someone she had a medical emergency and needed to leave immediately. Only then was a driver summoned. As her car pulled away, she made eye contact with one of the security guards at the gate. He didn't blink. He just watched her go, like it had happened before, like he expected her to say nothing. Jennifer didn't speak about the basement for years, not to friends, not to fellow actors, not even to her team. It felt dangerous, she admitted, not just in the legal sense. It felt spiritually dangerous, like if I spoke about it, I'd be marked somehow. But when the court subpoenaed several security footage files retrieved from one of Diddy's storage units, her story took on a terrifying new clarity. One of the recovered recordings matched her description almost exactly. Multiple robed figures, a dimly lit room, surveillance-style footage showing a hooded individual on their knees as music played faintly in the background. It was unclear when it was filmed, or where, but the imagery was eerily consistent with Jennifer's testimony. One of the investigators who had reviewed the footage submitted a statement. The setting is consistent with a ritualistic staging environment. Whether symbolic or otherwise, this is not typical party behavior. It is premeditated and organized. That statement rocked the courtroom. Jennifer's account wasn't just exposing Diddy's lifestyle. It was painting a picture of a hidden world, one where power operated through coercion, surveillance, and fear. And if her testimony continued to hold up, it meant others had been in that room before. Some willingly, others not. But all under the gaze of someone who believed he could get away with it. Because for a long time, he did. Jennifer Lawrence's testimony took another turn when she was asked about the other people she saw at Diddy's mansion that night. "I recognized several people," she admitted. "Famous faces. Not just actors, but athletes, executives. There were names I never expected to see in a place like that." The court didn't permit her to name all of them, citing pending investigations and sealed witness lists, but she gave enough descriptions to make it clear these weren't just Hollywood regulars. These were influential people, individuals with connections to global industries, politicians' families, and billion-dollar businesses. There was a clear rule, she added. Nobody took photos. Phones were locked in a case. You didn't ask questions. You were just expected to play along. The guests weren't just drinking and mingling. Some had private wristbands. Some were seen disappearing behind velvet curtains. Jennifer said she didn't know what happened beyond those curtains, but the rumors surrounding them were infamous. One such rumor had followed Diddy for years, the idea that his parties weren't just wild, but ceremonial. Jennifer paused before finally addressing it. "There's a story," she began. "People in Hollywood whispered it for years, that there's a room in his mansion called the Mirror Room, that if you're taken there, it means you've been chosen. Not chosen in a good way, chosen to be broken." The Mirror Room had allegedly been described in various ways: wall-to-wall reflective glass, lights that flickered with music, and a single reclining chair in the center. Jennifer never saw it herself, but she saw people come back from it. They looked pale, disoriented. One girl was shaking. Another guy, I won't say his name, came out with a nosebleed and asked to leave immediately. This story, once dismissed as tabloid nonsense, took on new weight when federal investigators submitted a floor plan of Diddy's estate, obtained from a former contractor. It included a room labeled MR just behind the basement hallway. While Diddy's legal team claimed the letters stood for Media Room, further inspection showed it had no media setup, just a single locked entrance and mirrored paneling throughout. It was the rumor everyone heard, the one people laughed off, until Jennifer confirmed it in a courtroom, under oath. Even more damning was what she said next. Jennifer claimed someone once warned her, "If you're invited back, don't go. It won't be the same the second time." When asked who said it, Jennifer looked down and said, "Another actress. Someone big. She's not ready to come forward yet." But she made one thing clear. This wasn't a one-time event. It was a system, carefully curated, whispered about only in closed circles, and protected by layers of fame, fear, and favors. By now, the courtroom understood. Jennifer wasn't just describing a party. She was describing a network. And at the center of it, according to her, was Sean Diddy Combs. As Jennifer Lawrence continued her testimony, the courtroom grew quieter, more focused. Her voice lowered as she recounted the night she decided she'd never return to another event hosted by Diddy. "I remember seeing a man crying in the corner," she said. "It wasn't a normal party reaction. He was shaking, whispering something like, 'They know everything.'" Jennifer said no one helped him. People looked the other way, like it was normal, like they'd seen it before. She described feeling the air change, how laughter faded into strange silence at certain points of the night, like something behind the scenes had shifted. She said a female guest came up to her, grabbed her arm, and told her bluntly, "Don't drink anything else. Just say you're tired." Jennifer didn't question it. She left early. But the next day, her agency received a call from someone close to Diddy's circle, politely asking if she'd enjoyed herself. The tone wasn't threatening, it was more expectant, as if confirming she'd play by the unspoken rules. "That was the moment I realized," she said, pausing. These weren't just parties. These were tests, and I failed mine, thankfully. She stared at the jury and added, "If I don't speak, others will think staying silent is the safest choice. I'm here to say it's not." Her voice cracked, but she didn't look away. That moment became the emotional centerpiece of her testimony, not because of what she saw, but because she admitted the guilt of looking away once, too. The morning after the party, Jennifer Lawrence woke up to a pit in her stomach. It wasn't from alcohol. She hadn't had much to drink, thanks to the strange warning she'd been given by that unknown guest. It was something deeper, a lingering discomfort, like she'd been somewhere she wasn't supposed to be. A place where the glitz of celebrity status had masked something far more disturbing. "I sat on the edge of the bed in my hotel room and just stared at the floor," Jennifer told the courtroom. "It felt like I had escaped something I wasn't even meant to see, let alone understand." But escaping the house was one thing. Escaping the unspoken pressure afterward was another. That same morning, she said her publicist received a phone call from someone claiming to be affiliated with Diddy's inner circle. The message was friendly, on the surface. They asked if she had a good time, if she was feeling okay, and if she understood what the event was really about. Jennifer's voice grew colder as she recalled that phrase. "It was subtle," she said, "but the tone felt like a dare, like, 'You're in now. Play your part or don't come back.'" She didn't respond to the call herself, but days later, she began noticing strange things. Events she'd usually be invited to no longer extended her an RSVP. Co-stars she was close to stopped returning messages. A few even unfollowed her on social media. It was like she'd been tagged as a problem, without anyone ever directly accusing her of anything. At one meeting with a brand representative for an upcoming campaign, she mentioned that she'd rather not do any collaborations tied to certain figures in the music industry. The room went silent. One executive stood up and left. Another told her, "We understand. But it's better not to bring that kind of attention right now." "I was being quietly blacklisted," Jennifer said to the jury, "and all for not playing along." Her lawyers then submitted internal emails from industry insiders discussing her sudden drop in interest and speculating whether she'd seen something she wasn't supposed to. By this point in the courtroom, even Diddy's legal team looked unsettled. The paper trail was damning, not because Jennifer made bold accusations, but because the industry around her clearly reacted as if she had. "I didn't scream from the rooftops," she told the court, "but I didn't go back. And the moment I made that choice, doors started closing. That's how the machine works. Silence is rewarded. Questions are punished." Her testimony wasn't just about one night. It was about the invisible grip of fear that followed, and how the entertainment industry often protects itself, not its people. As Jennifer Lawrence finished recounting the aftermath of the party, the courtroom watched a moment unfold that would be etched into every observer's memory. Diddy, seated at the defense table, stared at her, his expression blank, but his eyes fixed with quiet intensity. For a brief second, Jennifer turned her head and met his gaze directly. She didn't flinch. "I know what I saw," she said, voice unwavering. "And I know that silence is how people like you stay powerful." There was a shift in the room. Reporters stopped scribbling. Even the judge glanced up. It was no longer just testimony. It was a confrontation. Jennifer continued, "I've been in this industry long enough to know what happens to people who talk, but I'm not afraid anymore. If that means fewer movie offers, or being shut out of certain circles, so be it." The prosecution allowed her a moment before asking a final question. "Why now?" Jennifer replied, "Because people think Hollywood is magic. It's not. It's power. And if we don't call it out, the illusion becomes the truth." She stepped down from the witness stand, not rushed or shaky, but grounded, like she had lifted a weight she'd carried for years. No cheers followed, just a cold, heavy silence. Diddy didn't speak, but his stare never left her back as she walked away. In the hours following Jennifer Lawrence's testimony, the world outside the courtroom began to shift. News broke rapidly, flooding headlines and social media feeds with phrases like "Jennifer Lawrence breaks her silence" and "A-list actress exposes Diddy." But unlike past Hollywood controversies, this one hit with a cultural force that couldn't be deflected or ignored. Networks scrambled to air legal panels. Publicists for other celebrities frantically began distancing their clients from Diddy, quietly scrubbing old photos and social media mentions. For the first time in decades, Diddy's grip on the entertainment world seemed to be cracking, not from a corporate scandal, not from leaked footage, but from a woman who refused to be quiet about what she saw. The prosecution capitalized on this cultural momentum. They recalled several former assistants, chauffeurs, and behind-the-scenes industry workers who corroborated Jennifer's vague but disturbing descriptions. Locked rooms during parties, secretive guest lists, and instructions never to discuss what went on inside. These testimonies had existed for years, buried under NDAs and fear. But Jennifer's words gave them oxygen. Meanwhile, Diddy's defense team tried to counter. They implied Jennifer was chasing attention, attempting to relaunch her relevance in a post-award season lull. They showed clips of her previous interviews, laughing and appearing carefree at events. But that tactic backfired. Viewers saw it for what it was: character assassination in the absence of a solid defense. A particularly damaging moment came when a leaked internal email surfaced from a major streaming service executive. The message, sent months earlier, read, "We can't risk Jennifer on any more projects. She's got that look in her eye, like she's seen something." This confirmation of Hollywood's silent punishment aligned perfectly with Jennifer's courtroom claims. She had been telling the truth, and the industry knew it. Jennifer's testimony became a cultural rallying cry, not because of its graphic detail, but because of what it symbolized. It represented every celebrity, every assistant, every guest who had brushed up against the dark undercurrent of power and control in Hollywood, but had remained silent. She didn't cry on the stand. She didn't scream. She simply told the truth. And that truth lit a fuse. As the court adjourned that day, reporters surrounded the steps, waiting for a statement. Jennifer didn't speak to them. She walked calmly to her vehicle, flanked by legal aides and private security. She had said what she needed to say. Back inside, Diddy sat stone-faced. The prosecution had more witnesses to come, but they all knew. Jennifer Lawrence's words had done something irreversible. Not just to Diddy's defense, but to the silence that protected him. The illusion had cracked. And nothing, not fame, not fortune, not even a network of elite allies, could put it back together again.